Yo, I be the same way, man. I feel you.
What up, world? It's your boy Mark Walter Ward, Super Facts Network, Super Facts Show. We got with us the legendary Dres from Black Sheep, fresh off just releasing a joining P with Stu Bangas,
Stu Bangas.
Sheep Stu. Got it out. It's definitely way more fire than my introduction of it. 5 strong ass songs. Got a feature from the legendary AG of the Digging in the Crates crew. How you doing today, brother?
I'm good, family, man. I'm good. Word up. How about yourself?
I'm loving life.
Excellent.
Off top, I can certainly see why you'd want to make a project with Stu Bangas, but what led to that coming together?
Man, it's kind of bug. Like, you know how I'm working right now on this really, really big project called D&D. D&D is Dilla times Dres. I met my dupes and who's Dilla's mom. And she blessed me and gave me permission to kind of go through a bunch of personal stuff and create a project. And so there's this project that I've created that's almost finished. And there's also a documentary in the making about the making of it. And so, you know, like I've been back and forth from Detroit to California, to back to Puerto Rico. I mean, just getting up with Dilla's family, his friends, childhood friends. Is a whole making documentary on the making of this project. And this project is crazy. It's like features from Bun B to CeeLo Green to Chuck D to Sauce
Chuck
Money.
D jump go hard. I definitely Sauce Money. That's what's up. I heard the Chuck D jump. I had questions about it, but since you bring it up before we forget, could you drop the Bun B song sometime soon?
Well, I'm not. You know, I'm still making that. I'm still, you know, everything's. I had just did a leak on that particular one, but I dropped, I think, a verse on the Bun B joint.
But but without Bun B part, man, I went to listen to that joint, and it was like, I love listening to you and everything, but the way they worded the shit, I thought I was fitting to get the Bun B joint. And
right. I feel you. Nah, just let you know that, you know, he's on the project. Like I said, like a ton of cats. Freeway.
Really? Wow. Sauce Money, Freeway.
Afro, I got Lil D to Chi Ali, Mysonne, I got Delta Funky Homo Sapien. I mean, just a slew of cats. Corey Gunz. Yo, the project is banoodles, sincerely.
I'm sure.
And while I've been working on this project, and this project's not gonna be out till probably next year, because I just came from seeing some of the documentary, and we're still filming and things of that nature. But just to say, while I'm working on this project, you know, on Twitter, you know, not on Twitter, on IG, sometimes cats will post a beat and be like, you know, like, who do you hear under this beat? So somebody tags me on a Stu Bangas beat, and, you know, when I get to the page, I'm like, oh shit, this shit is dope. You know what I'm saying? And so I started browsing through his page, and I'm like, oh shit, this kid is really solid. I really like the shit that he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's just got this edge that I really like about it, but at the same time, just sonically soulful and really, really rugged stuff. So I kind of chime in about the track, and I'm like, yeah, I'd heard that, this and the other. And me and Stu wound up chopping it up on the DM side, and I let him know, I'm like, yo, I'm working on a project right now. I'm knee deep in this project. I said, but I really like what you do. I said, why don't you start sending me tracks, and the joints that I like, I'll pull and I'll create a folder. And when I finish, I said, when I finish what I'm doing, I'll jump into these. And, you know, like, you know, we'll do a little something. And so he's like, bet. So he starts sending me tracks. And at some point in this D&D process with the project I'm doing, there came a paperwork aspect of it, and everything halted until the paperwork was kind of finished up. And I found myself sitting on my hands waiting for this paperwork to get done. And I got a little mad at myself. And I'm like, yo, I felt like I had so many eggs in this particular basket that I reached out to Stu. I was like, yo, I'm kind of sitting on for a minute. I said, but rather than just sit, I'm about to jump into these beats of yours. I said, and they kind of bring something else out of me other than like it's not what I'm doing. And it's a little more off the curb to me. And I like that. I want to do something that's kind of different than what I'm doing. So I just jumped right into Stu's joints and was able to get probably 4 records done before the paperwork got back, you know, flowing for the project I was already doing. So that I had got so deeply into it, I put them on hold so that I could finish with Stu and kind of like just knock this out and then jump back into what we was doing on the D&D side. But by the time I was 4 songs in with Stu, I knew what it was. I was like, oh, this shit is silly. You know what I'm saying? And and Stu is just dope. And you know, I got some really dope cats around me. A couple of things that made the project just as polished and beautiful as it is was I let a couple of really dope cats touch it, which one is the mixing was done by my good brother Pete Miser. You know Pete Miser is, he's just a ridiculous hip-hop head and entity, very creative, and has his own thing that he's been doing for a lot of years. I had to mix it, so he brings little dabs and spices throughout, you know, like you can see little things going on in the tracks, little effects, little spins, little, you know, from the cuts to everything that's extra. Pete Miser added it. And then we went to a great man to master it by the name of Bob Power. And Bob Power mastered the project, and it's official. Right up.
It sure is. One joint I want to ask you about specifically, man. I think it's the second verse, but it might be the first verse. One of those verses on hate, man. You straight up snap, but that shit was also profound. Like, what was you thinking about on that song?
For hate, I really kind of was really just in a space where I remember I was writing on my terrace, like just really feeling like there's a grown-up conversation that I'm not hearing. You know what I'm saying? And not to age myself or not to age the cats that were gonna hear what I had to say, because what I had to say was an adult conversation that young adults need to hear too. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like a lot of times hip hop, you know, gets very much boxed in, and sometimes artists are comfortable inside that box. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes real life for everybody else is just outside that box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, like we got to be able to talk outside the box sometimes. You know, like I get it, you know, the bubble, that is the box that, you know, that success lies in, that a lot of people think success lies in. You know, like it's its own world. But for everybody else outside of that bubble, real life is something else. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, like sometimes I feel like it's important to specifically address real life outside the box. You know what I'm saying? And so hate to me was me doing just that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like this, you know, like we're all evolving. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that we evolve to stop giving so much of each other the pain and start giving the pain to the things that deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't need to be hurting each other. Especially us as like-minded people. We're family people. We're goal-oriented. You know, we care about the children, the planet, the thing, you know, things thereof. Everybody should have the opportunity to be just that. The problem lies in everybody doesn't have the opportunity to be just that. And that isn't the pinnacle of success. What I was just saying was basic shit. You know what I'm saying? Loving your family, loving your children, loving the world, you know what I'm saying? And being goal-oriented. Basic shit. But there's people that are not being given the opportunity. Sometimes systemic racism is the catapult that denies that. Sometimes, you know, since like there's so many things that have been ingrained in our DNA that sometimes we don't even see. We become numb to the things that exist that deny us ability, and other people have become numb to caring. You know, sometimes we'll say something and we won't even care, and as unfair as we know that shit is, we won't say nothing.
Like it's societally acceptable that teachers are underpaid. Like everyone knows that fact, but no one gets upset about that.
that's horrific. That's horrific. You know what I'm saying? Like, but there's so many of those. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's so many of those that exist. You know what I'm saying? And until we literally address line by line the issues, see the way things are structured, they're structured to leave splinters.
Right.
It's structured to leave divide. It's structured to be what it is. It's on autopilot. If we don't readdress it, then nothing changes. It's structured that the new generation doesn't even have to do anything to keep what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they'll say, oh, but it wasn't me. You know what I'm saying? But what they don't understand is if you inherited the wealth, you also inherited the debt. And that's what needs to be comprehended today by the it wasn't me society. You reap the benefits of what was done. There's a wealth that is attained that you were born into. But that being the case, there's also a debt that you were born into. And to not acknowledge it is to deny the greatness that lies within you. Word up, because the world is a better place when we play fair. There's advancement for everybody in the advancement of one. And we fail to realize that day after day, man, and we're paying the cost for it.
Rise the tide, lift all boats.
Yeah, man. Yeah, yep. Look at the world we live in, man. Word up, we're paying for it. We're paying for us not doing the things that we're capable of. You know, like we put the well-being of ourselves in front of the well-being of our community. And without the well-being of our community, ourselves will never last.
Man, you ain't never lie. Well, with that being said, what point do you think you was happiest in your career and life? And if they weren't the same point, how different were they?
Good question. Yeah, they definitely different places. Like I know for a fact, you know, like just because a cat's a multi-millionaire, that doesn't mean he's happy.
Oh,
and
yeah,
and in some cats, you can see them trying to buy pieces of happiness or trying to convince themselves that, you know, this is the pinnacle of happiness. Nah, it's more of what you're able to affect. And when I say affect, that's not necessarily from a monetary standpoint. I feel great these days because I feel like people are seeing me for my inner. You know what I'm saying? Like and I appreciate it. You know, like it's been 30 years. People, you know, think I did one album and just never made no more music. You know, I've got a ton of independent projects and things that I've learned over the years, and I stand by all of my music just as proudly as Sheep Stu to A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing.
Right.
And everything in between, I stand firmly, strongly, proudly next to. And
you ain't like your sophomore album, the Black Sheep sophomore album, because I was gonna ask you about that. I liked it. I saw some quote. Maybe you were unhappy at the time, but I saw some quotes where you didn't seem very pleased with it.
Nah,
maybe it's a marketing of it.
Yeah, now the marketing of it was horrific.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah, on the spine of the album, it says Balk Sheep, BALCK, on the spine. Like that's when I knew shit was over. I was like, oh, these motherfuckers got it in for it. Like the Balk Sheep, I was like, oh yeah, like on a major label release.
Do you think there really was like that? I mean, I know like the one thing is kind of like some propaganda, but I believe that there's some truth in it. Do you think there was like a meeting to remove like, you know, content like y'all? I mean, you're native tongues, but the native tongues or you know the I forgot the California cast. It was the hieroglyphics. You know, people like that used to be on the radio.
I mean, I will say this, that there is a definite void in hip hop right now of intelligence. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's being released by labels. There's not a void of intelligent hip hop being uploaded by artists on the SoundCloud, Spotify.
I agree, but yeah, but yeah, by labels and by radio, right now, you know what I'm saying? And
indie radio, I give much more props to. They're definitely doing their own thing. But mainstream, if you're a power station or you're iHeart or you're you know, one of the main, you know,
stations, like their playlist is hurtful. It's hurtful
Black
to
Death.
hear.
They in the Black Death.
Yo, for real. And you know, and so there's a whole contingency of cats that aren't online and savvy, you know what I'm saying, that listen to the radio, you know what I'm saying, and are spoon fed day after day, you know, something that propels them and doesn't give them options. There's not, like I said, they've removed the intelligence. There's no KRS, there's no Chuck D, there's, you know, there's no X-Plan shit. Even the NWA to a degree gave you some of the things that were very important to survival.
Social commentary. There was so many people at the time who was but before the man, you go back and read shit like Rolling Stone or whatever talking about NWA. They're saying like their fuck the police narrative's overblown and they're paranoid and all that shit. Then Rodney King happened, and then now everybody gotta be like, but yeah. So there was a, but they also demonstrated. I call it the good of all evils and the bad of all evils. They demonstrated the bad of all evils. UGK, Ghetto Boys, the bad of all evils. People going to prison. But now you waking up in a Bugatti. You know, now you can do medicine that's gonna fucking kill you all day long. Like you know that Xanax shit. You know there's only two substances that they know of that the withdrawal can kill you: alcohol and Xanax. You can't even go to rehab if you're addicted to Xanax. You gotta have it out of your system for 15 days.
Wow, I did not know that.
And all them songs about them Xanny, and let's not even get into the fentanyl that's about to start being in the shit you get off the street when you don't got your shit.
You know what I'm saying?
But all that fucking music is Black Death. Like no, I ain't saying I know whose agenda it is and none of that shit. But just by looking at the results, all they want to do is destroy the black family and kill black people.
I have a theory, and my theory is this, bro. All right, at one point there was the free labor that the United States was able to garner was slavery. You know what I'm saying? It made America very, very rich. A lot of the powerhouses that we know today are the result of slavery. A lot of the families are the result of slavery, direct result of slavery. Now, all right, so we've officially got it where we're not going to give this free labor. So now there's a deficit. The deficit didn't exist when slavery existed. But now that there's not slavery, there's a deficit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our country is far from as rich as we were. So there's become this new thing that we are going to do, and this is probably right around the time when this letter and all of this shit is going on. We're going to privatize the prisons. The privatized prisons are going to be our new cattle. That's just the new slavery. This is the new way that we're going to make money, because we're going to put these privatized prisons on the stock market. And the object is to keep these prisons full. Right now, a prison is fined for not being full.
Well, they have contracts, and in their contracts with the private prison, when they take the contract with the state, they have to keep it at a certain occupancy.
Right.
Well, what if there's not enough people to arrest? Well, then we got to arrest people.
So what people are we going to arrest? Where are we going to pull from?
People who can't afford lawyers.
Right. Now people who can't afford lawyers probably can't afford. They probably aren't savvy enough to listen to, you know, saying Shade 45. They probably aren't savvy enough to this and the other. So all the people that listen to the power station, the iHeart, all the people that live on radio. These are the people that we're going to address. We're going to create this playlist. We're going to remove these certain aspects that go against our agenda. Any voice that might speak anything that might deter what we're trying to do right here, we're going to politely excuse them. And we're going to move forward with our agenda. If you're talking about Black Death, we'll promote that. We'll promote you. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll promote the most fucked up shit within that and nothing else going on, you know what I'm saying, in reality. And all that does is put waking up in a Bugatti with a Xanny bar up your nose and some chick licking your toes a priority. You know what I'm saying? And everything or anything you can do to attain that, do it. It's worth it. And before these kids even realize what they've done, where they lie, you know, how fucked up they've just situated the rest of their life, they've already given it up. They've already, you know, they've already hurt somebody. They've already, you know, like they've already put themselves in a situation to be hurt.
They're doing a mandatory minimum sentence with a felony on their record that still fucks them up 25 years later.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's so many things that are put into that pill that they're pushing right now. And the only real objective is to get you into this cattle. This is where we keep cattle. You know what I'm saying? So this prison, we're gonna get you in this prison. Stocks, we're gonna keep 401ks and this and y'all, all of y'all, everybody with a job. Yeah, we're gonna y'all gonna be invested. Y'all invested your retirements are vested in these prisons. You're gonna make money off of it too. So you're not even gonna be mad at it. So when you hear like, you know, like, and I don't know how true shit like this is, but I used to hear like Michael Jordan to this person to that person was vested in private prisons.
It was a different Michael Jordan. It was someone else.
Okay.
Name was Michael
Cool.
Jordan.
Yes. Like I said, I didn't know. So I'm just saying, but you hear like, you know, like people are vested in the money, you know, like it is something.
Well, you want, but not even Michael Jordan, bro. Like BlackRock, you know, the majority of their money comes from citizens' pensions. That's what BlackRock does, is manages pensions, and they're involved in private prisons. So, you know, something that people could do, they can make sure that their pensions aren't getting tied up in the private prison.
Right. Because eventually, you know, essentially, pardon me, only thing that's doing is endorsing what's going on. Like, you know, like we really have to get it in our head that until we start changing, we can't even just say that's fucked up. We have to physically have leaders. Like, we don't have any leaders. Our entertainers are not fucking leaders. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Very rarely, but maybe Dick Gregory, but that's like 1 in a million, you know?
And why is that only in the fucking black community that?
What do you mean why? Because they kill all the good black leaders.
You're right.
I mean, why? Like, we can figure out why.
No.
We might not know who, but we know why.
You answered it. But you know what I'm saying? But only in the black community are entertainers expected to be fucking black leaders as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't do that in the white community. Like fucking Joe DiMaggio, they didn't ask him his fucking world views on shit. You know what I'm saying? And move to the tone of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, Don't do that with us. Like, don't ask motherfuckers that barely can read, you know what I'm saying, the fucking thoughts on, you know, fucking political assassination or some shit. Like or anything, really, for that matter, other than what they do. Word. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
stop asking people about the Ukraine. You know, like, who the we don't know about, man, that's just like Nazis and shit. And we all, well, I didn't, but motherfuckers like changing their avatar to the Ukraine flag and asking everybody about Ukraine. Man, it don't have to be no black entertainer. I heard them pass Paris Hilton. They don't know shit about fucking Ukraine, or they'd be lucky if they saw that Netflix documentary 5 years ago.
I know they wasn't letting a lot of brothers on them trains to get the fuck out of the Ukraine. I know that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah.
When I said that Nazi shit, I meant like they literal Nazis over there. They're still like Nazi parties over there, motherfuckers. I didn't know that shit because, like most Americans, I don't know shit about Ukraine. I got to worry about my motherfucking bills. Like, we sending all that money over there, man. Send some motherfucking billions to Baltimore.
Oh, I mean, you know, like the fact that they, you know, like that we'll bring up reparations and motherfuckers aside, like, oh, y'all still know that word, like, you know what I'm saying, like, but send several billion to the Ukraine behind some shit that, you know, like that. Honestly, we could give less than a fuck about. Word, you know, like, don't get it twisted. I understand that. I don't mean to sound callous. I say we can give less than a fuck about. I say that as the community that you look past to send them the money. Like you've literally bombed us. You've literally, like, you know, literally terrorized us. You've literally ripped us from our parents and sold us and sent us and, you know, maimed us and hobbled us and everything that could be done. So I hate that they're going through something. But once again, motherfuckers will fucking hurdle the shit that's right in front of them that deserves the priority that they fucking had when they did the shit, to do some shit that's, you know, saving somebody else's feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
Like poor motherfuckers in the army, they over in Iraq blowing shit up, and they come home and they can't get no good health care, but then they send the money to rebuild Iraq.
You know what I'm saying? Right.
So like, why don't you rebuild our soldier first?
Right. Real talk. And that's time and time again. Like, you know, it's at a point now where, you know, like we really have to stop complaining as much as restructure. Like we see, you know what I'm saying? Like we see it, like it's time for us now to start navigating. Like the new goals shouldn't be so much as to, I put like this, like you'll hear people shout for justice. You'll hear people shout for equality. But when has justice and equality ever existed in America?
I mean, not that I know of. I don't even know that justice and equality are the same thing.
Oh, without question, they're not. But nonetheless, they've never even existed. Equality?
I mean, never in any shape, form, or fashion. Because before you can get into racial shit, you can get into women. Right.
And then before you even get there, then there's the classism. It's never existed. So the chant shouldn't be about equality and things thereof. The real thing is we already know that doesn't exist. Now, how do we navigate? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole different set of things that we need to be talking about. Equality isn't there. How do we win from our vantage point? How do you navigate when it's not equal? What do we need to do with those that are like-minded to even the playing field? You know what I'm saying? And those are the conversations that I want to spark. I want to incite those conversations because, you know, the we shall overcome, the give me freedom, give me death, all of that shit is ploy. You know what I'm saying? All that shit is it's never existed. We're speaking about something that's never existed. So until we're willing to make it exist, what's the point of talking about it? The real meat is talking about how do we win from where we stand. And being honest about where we stand.
Well, what I try to do personally, bro, I feel like if poor people ever got together, like if we stop playing this Republican Democrat dumb shit, and if poor black people, poor white people got together, that's way more strength in numbers. And poor Latinos, you know, way more strength in numbers. And like you said, most of us probably got pretty much the same goals in life. We're probably like 90% together. But the TV and shit got us divided and shit. Like all those Trump motherfuckers, I feel like if they've been pushed in another direction, they might have been strong ass allies, because basically they was fed up, not the racist ones, but the ones that was just fed up with the system, and they were voting for Trump on like some, man, fuck the politicians you give me, man. That energy probably could have been redirected in a much more productive way.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right on that. Like, don't get it twisted. There is this segment of America that it was sad to see we're still so predominantly feeling how they feel, which is because it's sad. It's so wow. Like, damn, like I didn't even know they still made y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Word,
You know, but there is the contingency of cats that you're talking about that's just tired of the bullshit and just wanted something else. And you're right, that energy needs to become educated, needs to become, you know, just a little bit more literate about the world scope.
Well, talking about that agenda with the music, do you ever think that some of that shit might be to convince white people that black people are their enemy? Because take some poor white person in I don't know, North Dakota or some shit. And when I say poor, I mean like actually poor, like over police neighborhoods, all that shit.
I've been to West Virginia.
and all they see and all they ever see is rap videos with motherfuckers is, you know, talking about killing people and gang banging. So they're like, oh, that's not like me. That's something different. That's the other. But when in reality, from my experience, most young motherfuckers is the same, you know?
Right. Yo, and it's another thing that you're hitting on the head. Like, you know, like in us removing the diversity, you know what I'm saying? Because there was a time when a black sheep